Right, part 3, different data types and timers. So now we're going to do the full sequence. Goes, stop if safe, stop, and then red and amber at the same time. Prepare to go. So how can we describe the light state? So we can either describe it by combination, red or amber, red or amber, or red and amber, or green. We could use is red on, is amber on, or green with green on, but we can use them in tangent to each other. But the one we are going to be using is what should the traffic do? Stop, go, stop if safe, stop, and prepare to go. And the reason we're doing that is because this state here, this state is still in the crossing, and we want the meaning to apply to both the traffic light and the pedestrian light. These three is red on, it's amber on, it's green on. And this top thing here, whenever you deal with the traffic light colors, they're very, very specific to the traffic light and not relevant to the pedestrian light. So this is why we are asking this question. And so, because you can see we can apply this question to all of our scenarios here. What we're going to be doing next task 3 is we're going to be going from red to amber. Sorry. Yeah, I'm going to go through the sequence. Going to go to red, amber, to green, to amber, to red. And then we're going to have the pedestrian light move accordingly. So let's exit that. We are going to introduce also the concept of using a timer as well, because as you see, we're only going to be using the button to change the to trigger the sequence. Subsequently, we're going to be using timers for that. So let's go over to the next exercise. The solution for exercise 2 is at the bottom of the sheet if you're interested. If you want a starting up, if you want a jumping off point. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding a timer. So what I'm going to do is for pedestrian. Yes, cool. So the first thing that I'm going to do is after like 2 seconds, I'm going to set the lights back again. So how do we do that? So we set our, so what we're going to do is it safe to cross? It's going to go false. So, sorry. Let me just catch my breath a little bit. When the button is pressed, we set our state, and then we set a timer. At the end of the timer, we set the state back. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to add a timer class here. This should add the import Dart async. If your code editor doesn't do it for you, then you will need to do that yourself. Okay. And it's expecting 2 things, a duration and a callback. So let's add a duration first. Yeah. So this is really cool. So duration just specifies the amount of time you want the timer to go for. And you can specify in days, hours, minutes. You can pick, yes, you can just pick 1. I'm going to pick seconds, and I'm going to pick 2. And then what is the, and then the second one is a callback function here. And what is that callback function? What I'm going to do is we're just going to reset its safety cross. I'm going to make that false again. So then now, do that. 1, 2. Ooh, something's wrong. Oh, I know what's wrong. Haha. I know what's wrong. I know what I did wrong. I did loads of things wrong. It's getting late. Okay. What I did wrong is I specified set timer is what I did wrong is I wasn't calling set state. It's not necessarily that I had timer inside set state because that shouldn't make a difference. But as we said before, if you want something to change, you have to call set state. Here we go. Now if I press the button, 1, 2, boom, there you go. Set state, always important. Cool. Right, so next thing that we're going to do is, we're not going to use this safety cross for the reasons that was said, because we want to introduce the amber light and we need more information. So what I'm going to do is, what I could do is I could say, string traffic status. And then I could I'll do like an initial status of like something like, or the traffic is of go, for example. And I can use strings, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use enums. And the reason I'm going to use enums is because with strings, you are more likely to make typos, but more importantly, it means that if any of your values, if you want to change a string value, then it's a lot easier to do that. You change it in one place, and if you want to change the any other value, you've got the help of IntelliSense. Your code editor does not do well with refactoring strings. So I'm going to do is going to create a new enum called traffic status, and then what are the status that we said earlier? I'm singing again. Go, stop is safe, stop, prepare to go. So we do go, stop if safe, stop, prepare to go. Cool. If my code is changing, it's just because my code editor automatically formats my code. So now what we can do is we can change the type to traffic status, and then change the enum to traffic status dot. I want the initial one to be go, so that's that. Cool. And then let's make it work with what we have currently. So we can set traffic status when you press the button to stop the traffic. Yep. And then afterwards, we'll just go back to go to traffic status. We go back to go. Cool. A couple of things it's complaining. You might get hints in the code editor here. Because it's the wrong type. Pedestrian light and traffic light are both expecting booleans, and I can go ahead and change the properties inside of each two booleans, but for the time being, I'm just going to do a little bit of a trick here, which is when should the pedestrian light show? The pedestrian light should only show when the traffic has stopped. So in that instance, I'll just say traffic status And then this is an equality check. Just happens to be copy and paste, sorry. Traffic status is traffic stop. What this expression will do is it will return a Boolean. So if the traffic status is stopped, it will return true, which means it's safe to cross. And then the inverse, it will return false, which means it's not safe to cross. And I'm going to do the same thing for this one here because it's expecting to answer the question, is it safe to cross? Yes. So that's kind of a so that's a way around that. So then I press 1, 2, boom, yeah, functions. So now we're in a good position to now add the amber light. So going back to our worksheet here, we're going to use everything that we've learned to make this whole sequence work. It'll be like magic. Cool. So what's the first thing that we want? Like I said before, traffic light, it just needs more. It needs more than just is it safe to cross, yes or no. So we're going to change this to traffic status. And because I'm just going to rename this as well. Again, you don't have to use the same names as the parent. I'm just doing it because I think the name works for both components. Cool. And now this is complaining because there's now expecting traffic status. So that's fine. I can just simply pass in traffic status. Cool. And then, it's complaining again because the safe to cross doesn't exist. And then let's go through the sequence. So the sequence that we have is, okay, when do we show the red light? We show the red traffic light when, I'm just going to refer to this, when we are stopped or when we are preparing to go. So if traffic status is equivalent to traffic status dot stop and sorry and traffic status prepared to go, and then that should show the red light. Now amber, let's change this middle one back to amber. And you know, the same questions we have to ask, when do we show the amber light? We show the amber, stop is safe and prepared to go. So yeah, do the same thing here. Just going to copy this part. Traffic status, amber, traffic status, where to go. So, did I say amber? Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Stop is safe, sorry about that. Cool. Then we show amber, and then otherwise, just show our nice light grey here. And then finally, the green only shows in one scenario when we can go. So I'm going to just replace that. Traffic status, go. Boom, boom, boom. Yes, cool. Yeah, so that's that. So yeah, we're not quite done yet because ooh. That is very odd. Nothing is showing, and that should not happen. because it should set this traffic status to stop. And did I set the traffic status to stop? Aha, sorry. I made a rookie mistake. I made a very rookie mistake. You can see where I've highlighted that you can guess what a rookie mistake is.
Should be an all.
Yes. This is where complacency gets you. But I hope this makes you feel better that no matter what level you are, you make silly mistakes. So yeah, so don't worry about it. So now we've got there. Cool. So if you want to make it go in sequence, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to lay this out so that it's clear, so that we've got a clear path as to what the states are. So each one is going to set the state and then set a timer. So let's just say we press the button, and then what happens to the button? We change to stop if safe. So I'm just creating some new empty functions here, and you'll see what will happen. Change to stop if safe. Change to stop, that's next in the sequence. Next in the sequence is change to prepare to go. And then finally, change to go. Cool. And so, when we press the button, what currently happens is that we set stop, and then we set a timer, and then we do the next one. I'm just going to move the code here, and then just change it to traffic status, change to stop if safe. And then I'm just going to pass this method here. So what this means is that after 2 seconds, actually, let's make it a little bit longer. So after about 4 seconds, the person can cross, and then time's up. We're going to change it to stop if safe. Cool. So and then we change the state in the function here, but again, we're going to go to the next item, the next sequence. So for 1 second, we're going to change to stop, so it'll be at this state for 1 second. Change to stop. So let's just copy all of this and then paste this here. Traffic status stop. Cool. And then it will stop for, well, actually, when the person is crossing, yeah, that's when it should have a timer here. Just going to change this to, so just call in the next item here. And prepare to go is for 1 second. So we're not going to have a timer here. So yeah, now that we've got that, this is actually redundant because we do have a change to when the button is pressed. Essentially, what we're doing is we are going to ask the traffic to start stopping. So here we go. Cool. Okay, so that must have been a lot to take in. But yeah, but just to summarize, we essentially created a chain where when the button is pressed, then we invoke this function here. This function sets the state and then waits for 1 second and then changes to the next state, and then changes to the next, and then invokes the next function. The state changes, wait for 1 second, go to the next function, set the state, wait 1 second, go to the next function, and then we just set the state. So let's see this all in action. Drum roll, please. Cool, we press the button. And then the person is crossing. Okay.
That's fantastic.
So, there is something.
Do you want to just summarize? I think it's getting a little bit late now. I think we're just a little bit over.
I think there is something a bit, it is repeating itself a bit. I think there is a bug somewhere. And that's because I didn't change the last bit, sorry. It should be changed to go. Well, you're not going to get it right first time. Cool.
Yeah, that really is amazing.
Yeah,
so Roberta, do you want to just summarize what we did in this last exercise?
Yeah, absolutely. So in this last exercise, what we've done, is we've introduced the amber light, but what we've done is we've shown how we can have different types of, we can show how we can represent state more than just a Boolean, and how if you think about state as, it could be like a range of values, so it could be a number, it could be, in this instance we've got 4 distinct states here, and then we've also introduced timers as well. Cool.
Excellent. That's really, really good.
Okay.
Yeah, so go on. Do you want to go
yeah, so finally, next steps. So if you want to know more about state management, this is the link. I've left that in the worksheets as well. It's also got introduction to more complex types of state management as well. And then for the next session, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be applying what we've learned in the first session with regards to setting up the app and an introduction to Flutter widgets. What we've learned in this session returns to state. And then we're going to use it to learn about APIs and make a team listers app. And Jermaine will be leading that session. So yeah, that's that. And yeah, thank you all for coming. So feel free to go through the in your own time. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Excellent. So, Roberta, just thank you very much for taking us through state management within Flutter. And if guys, let's just run through quickly what we've gone through today. So today we've looked at what is an object in the real world, and then we've mapped that against what is an object in Flutter. So we've looked at encapsulating state within an object, so an object having its own state, and that's done by the stateful widget that we have in Flutter. We then looked at how 2 separate objects can communicate with each other. Yeah, if they both have internal state, the two objects can't do that. So what Roberta looked at was actually lifting that state up into a completely separate object, almost like a controller object, and that controller object shared the state between the two child objects. Yeah, and that allowed the state to be communicated from one object to another. Yeah, and then we And in doing that, she converted her Flutter stateful objects into stateless objects, yeah, in doing so. And then she also introduced the concept of actually the button. So the button was actually a function, yeah? So the button was an anonymous function that she called, which changed the internal state of that object. And what she also did was, so she moved that function all the way up into the higher level component. And the child component just called that, yeah? So that's what she did there. And then she introduced the concept of a timer, which allows us to have state transition over time, which is actually independent of an operation. So the operation was you click the button and then the timer did something. And what it did was call a sequence of events. And that sequence of events allowed us to change the color, change the traffic lights from red to amber to green, and then back again from green to amber to red. So this is, I mean, the stuff that she introduced here is fundamental to all manipulating, creating objects and manipulating their state is something that you will do in every programming language. But what she's done is she's introduced that within the context of Flutter and within the context of a Flutter app. So this is how you make your apps non-static. So last week we had a non-static app. Sorry, we had a static app where it was just a list. And now we've added features that allow that app to be dynamic. Yeah. So Jermaine is going to take it one step further and allow our app that we've created to connect to the real world. So Jermaine, in the next session, will be actually connecting to ITV's API, yeah, and pulling down some data and playing with that and using what we've learned in the previous sessions about lists and state management to actually build some features and functionality that you will see common in lots of mobile apps, yeah. So this is where your app actually connects to the real world. So it's one not to be missed, guys. So with that, I'm just going to hand you over to just Ez for the last words. Cheers, guys.
Wow. All I can say is thank you so much, Roberta. That was absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm no Dart Flutter developer. I know a huge amount there. I didn't even realize you could do the inline if-else statements within the icon definitions and all sorts just to switch things off and on. There was a lot. There were lots of little bits. I was like, oh, didn't know you could do that as we were doing it. It was absolutely fantastic. Those of you who felt it was obviously some of it was quite quick. The videos will be up on YouTube. Roberta has also shared her code and the gists and everything. So please do check the live document that she's created. So just final word. Oh, Roberta, yeah.
No, I just said FYI. I did actually get it working in the end. I forgot to replace a function. But this is what happens when you copy and paste.
This was a live coding session.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Graphic light app in Dart Flutter that anyone could have played with on their mobile phone in just over 2 hours, whilst having Jason and I asking tons of questions. So that's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So big thank you to everybody. As Jason said, part 3 of our series is on the 18th. You can sign up. I've dropped the link to our Eventbrite in the chat. If you want to watch the videos, have a look at our YouTube, please do subscribe. You can find out more about us at codeuntapped.com or Kin & Carter. You can search for them and find out more about the great stuff that they're doing. And Andre will be more than happy to talk to you about some of their projects and roles that they have going live. If you want to follow us, please do at Twitter, Code Untapped, or Instagram, also Code Untapped. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.